Hi there. This is a demonstration of a head's intelligent operations activities and functions, and specifically root cause analysis using AppDynamics, BigPanda, and ServiceNow. Before we get into the demonstration, just a little bit of context. Why digital transformation is so important to our customers is that ultimately they're building new products, experiences, and efficiencies that all center on applications. At the end of the day, the application is what makes them money, right? It's their business and their capabilities. So what we need to do is drive efficiencies and capabilities within the stack, and that's where intelligent operations comes in. So in terms of where we are in the digital delivery platform, you can see right here, it's the intelligent operations activities, which is focused on, in this case, application performance monitoring, again, AppDynamics, event management and workflow, which will be the BigPanda ServiceNow combination. And then, as I mentioned, ServiceNow here for the service management and a little bit of the service catalog. The application that we're going to be working with is a bag tags application for an airline. And in very simple terms, this is what you're going to be seeing in the next couple minutes in AppDynamics. You've got an application front end that's being fired as end users on the mobile devices attempt to create tickets and actually check-ins and do things like bag tag creation. Stuff from the website in the same form that comes into a front end application doing bag tag creation, which then uses a data access layer. The way the things are going to work is AppDynamics is going to be recognizing activities in the application, specifically metrics and events about application behavior, and passing those along in the form of alerts to BigPanda. BigPanda will make decisions about how that's relevant and then pass incidents into ServiceNow. Plus, ServiceNow and BigPanda will be exchanging information about change details for the root cause of the application problem. Okay, right now we're looking at the AppDynamics console and the bag tags application that we're modeling today. And you can see that we've been averaging at 251 calls per minute, averaging about 799 milliseconds per call, which is about average of what we've seen the application doing over time. And then we can actually see the breakdown of the application calls, the tag creation and different management aspects, where most of them are normal, or at least a significant portion of them. And we got some that are slow and some that are very slow. In the last couple minutes, the application team actually put in a change activity, and they improved the code and actually rebooted the service through their Ansible scripts. And so we can see the beginning of that activity here. This is an app deployment event that application, the Ansible scripts generated, that actually told AppDynamics that there was going to be a change related to this ServiceNow change, and we can see this in a minute, where they're going to do some improvements on the application code. And we'll go take a look at that change in a minute. But what that will have done is rebooted the services and caused application behavior change potentially. And so part of what we're interested in here is to see if the code change was actually beneficial to the runtime and to the application behavior or not. So while we're waiting for some of that behavior to start showing up, we'll take a look at the change request. As we can see, we've got change 100402 here in our ServiceNow instance. And if I get this to open up here, we can actually see, as I mentioned, it's code change to improve data wrangling at the service layer. What that means exactly is, kind of up to the application team, but you can see that the change is actually in the system for today. We're going to get it done sometime, this being recorded on the 8th of April, sometime before 8 o'clock tonight. And then we're going to, close this down, assuming that everything's good. The other thing that we've got going on is we've got BigPanda involved in the loop to watch for notifications. And at this point, there hasn't been anything, primarily because we're getting data from both AppDynamics as well as from ServiceNow. So let's take a look back at our AppD screen here and just kind of update things. And preliminarily, you can see that the behavior here has climbed a little bit in the last 5 minutes, or in the last couple minutes anyway. And in fact, there's a little bit of an increase at this moment around the error rate. Okay, and then I paused for about 3 or 4 minutes of additional wall clock time here, and you can see now that the error rate has continued to climb, and in fact our response time has started to deviate as well. And if we go into BigPanda, we can actually see that there's now an error rate incident going on, and if we open it, we can actually see that this is coming from AppDynamics, and it's tied to some health rules that we've got in the application about the error rate on the BTs. And you can see here as we jump in that, there we go, so that the rule started violating about 2 minutes ago in the middle of the time that I had paused the video. And and you can see that right now our rate is quite a bit above that. So in a minute here we should see that this warning actually turns into a critical, because our thresholds are set so that any values a little bit higher than this are going to violate with a critical. And we'll see that momentarily. If we go back into BigPanda, one thing that's interesting about this is that, as we mentioned in the prelude and kind of the overview, this this activity is actually, you can see what's going on here, that it's creating and understanding that things are going on. It actually reopened the same incident from earlier when we were doing some testing at the lab. And in fact, it's reopened the issue. And in fact, if you look at the related change, we can see right here that there's a plan change that's the change that I mentioned earlier, change 100402 here, as we see momentarily. So you can see that BigPanda has recognized that our error may in fact be related to the change that was scheduled to be performed this morning, and in fact is calling that out to us as a related change related to this error rate. So again, as the application continues to behave the way it's going to, and again we should see, yeah, there we go, see it's even higher, both response time related to the baseline of the application as well as the error rate, which doesn't have a baseline on it, but this is significantly higher than it should be. We can actually recognize through the correlation that BigPanda does that both the error rate and the changes related to the activity are something that was visible from the service management side of things. And what we would typically do, and we don't have this in this version of the demo, would be basically to force a remediation or a backout plan, which would cause the application to probably revert the code base, actually back down to the previous code. And in fact, if we were to do that right now, just sending Ansible the command to revert. Yeah. And so again, kind of working back through the application as it backs out momentarily, we'll see an event here from, well, that's actually the violation that's going on. Give this just a second. There we go. So we can see that I just fired the back out from Ansible, which turned around and is going to be backing down the code base in deployment and actually reinstalling the one that was previously there. And we can see that this event is saying, hey, we're backing it out. And then what we'll see here is that as the application reverts back to the previous code, that we'll actually see the error rate and response time return to the way the situation was before we made the code change in the first place. All right, so we'll give this a couple more minutes. I'll just show, I'll pause again, and we'll show the behavior returning to normal here. Okay, so we've had 2 or 3 more minutes of real time here pass. I just wanted to show that the error rate is still returning to normal, but I wanted to touch base on a couple of things here that are going on in the event activities. So this is, again, if you look back at the last 30 minutes when we started the scenario, made the code change, saw the health rule violate. If you look now, here's a sort of a complete picture of the time frame where the health rule started violating, where it actually went critical because it went from a warning to a critical threshold, and you can actually see that the value was significantly higher than our threshold is. And these are percentages, so about 18% versus 16%. And then you could see that it violated for a few more minutes and then actually downgraded as we turned, backed out the code. You could actually see that it started to reverse and go through a warning. And this violation will actually finish here momentarily as we let the environment go back to normal. Same thing on the BigPanda side. You'll actually see the same information available from the alert perspective, that it's actually downgraded now and is warning. And if we look at the activity feed, we'll see that things are going on, that it was shared back to ServiceNow as an incident, and then is slowly working its way back through to warn and then downgrade here momentarily. BigPanda will get an alert or a notification from AppD that this alert is no longer triggered, and this will go from warning to OK as the timeline on their side. You can kind of see, well, this is hard to see here, but it's right here. So warning again, the 11:40 time frame, the escalation at like 11:49, I guess, and then the downgrade, and then soon here it's going to go into, in fact, there it went. So it went into OK state, because now at this point, this application is no longer violating, and we can see right now it's actually happy because we backed out the code change. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please contact the EM&A team. We're happy to go through this. We're planning to have this application and this demo set up actually available to be created through automation. We're working on that as we speak, but if you're interested in running this demo with a customer, actually showing them the root change activities that are going on here, please contact either Johnny Hatch, Brian Homrich, or any of the Enterprise Monitoring and Analytics team. Thanks for watching.